Hey, you! Yes, I'm talking to you. Ever caught yourself divulging personal tales to someone you barely know, or delving into family anecdotes with a colleague you've just met? That's oversharing in action, often slipping past our awareness. If you find yourself frequently guilty of oversharing and want to pull back, there's good news. But before we dive in, let's get clear on what oversharing truly entails. Oversharing happens when you share too much for the situation or the person you're talking to. Whether it's face-to-face, through email, on social media, or in texts, the context does matter. It often occurs because you might not have a strong bond with the person, or you're sharing personal details in a place that doesn't feel right. So, oversharing isn't just about the content of what you say. It's also about the timing, the reasons behind sharing, and who you're sharing with. But so, why do people overshare? Oversharing often springs from a deep-seated need to form quick emotional bonds, driven by stress or a fear of not being accepted. This can sometimes blur the lines of intimacy, especially in unexpected places like chatting with nail artists or sharing rides with Uber drivers, where proximity can trick us into feeling closer than we really are. Some people find silence so uncomfortable that they spill personal stories just to fill the void, even when it's not the best idea. Additionally, those who struggle with social cues might unintentionally share too much, missing subtle signals of discomfort from others. Likewise, individuals with social anxiety may overshare due to nerves, a lack of self-confidence, or a strong desire to fit in. Lastly, if oversharing was common in someone's upbringing, they might not realize it's over the line in certain situations, making it tricky to gauge what's appropriate. Sometimes it's easy to miss the signs that you're sharing a bit too much in the moment. And if you reflect on a conversation later and realize you went overboard, don't sweat it. We've all had those moments. However, oversharing can hinder the development of meaningful relationships. To curb this tendency, here are 3 practical strategies to help you strike the right balance in your conversations. To avoid oversharing, try engaging others by asking questions and giving them space to share about themselves. If you find this challenging, prepare a conversation starter beforehand. Next time you catch yourself talking too much, pivot by asking the other person a question. This not only helps you learn more about them, but also fosters rapport by showing genuine interest in their thoughts. Pro tip: avoid putting pressure on others with overly personal questions. Instead, start with open-ended questions based on what you already know about them. For instance, at a networking event, ask about their work. Or if you're chatting at an airport, inquire about their travel plans. As they share details, follow up with related questions to keep the conversation flowing naturally. For example, if they mention missing their family during work trips, respond with empathy and then ask about their children. This approach builds a connection and encourages them to share more about themselves, keeping the dialogue balanced and engaging. Before you speak, take a moment to slow down. Pause and think. Is what I'm about to say really relevant, interesting, or genuinely helpful to the person I'm talking to? Sharing can strengthen relationships, but oversharing can sometimes do the opposite. So, before you dive into a conversation, take a breath and ask yourself if your contribution will truly add to the connection. Here's something to try. When you're not sure how to answer a question, instead of rambling, simply say, "That's a great question. Let me think about it for a moment." Take that time to gather your thoughts and give a thoughtful response. And here's a bonus idea. If you feel like you're talking too much, why not try a short vow of silence? It could be a great way to practice listening better and understanding your own talking habits. When you're going through tough times, whether it's dealing with a health issue or a breakup, remember that you have control over what you share with others. While life isn't lived in isolation, there are times when certain people, like your boss, need to understand what's happening to some extent. For example, your boss doesn't need every detail of your medical condition, but they should know if it might affect your work, such as needing time off for appointments or feeling under the weather. When you talk to them, focus on why it's relevant for work, like any adjustments you might need, and reassure them that you'll keep them informed as things progress. Pro tip: if someone asks a question you'd rather not answer, try saying something like, "It's a bit complicated," and shift the conversation to something else. Remember, not everyone needs to know all the personal details of what you're going through. As you work on toning down oversharing, remember that change doesn't happen overnight. Just like any journey of personal growth, it takes time and patience to see results. By following these tips, you can nurture authentic connections and communicate more effectively without overdoing it. Remember, it's all about finding that balance that feels right for both you and the people you interact with. Don't forget to check out our video about decoding body language listed in the description below. If you find this video helpful or entertaining in any way, please consider hitting the like button and subscribing. Your support means a lot and helps me continue sharing content like this. Thank you for being a part of our community.